NRL 2023, Round 2, let's go. Hey team, welcome back to the Warriorholic. Today I'm going to cast an eye over the Round 2 matchups and see if I can't pick a few more wins than last week. Pretty shit effort first up there, only managing 3 out of 8, but I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have been the only one with all those upsets we had. So let's see what we've got this week. Starting out Thursday night, Panthers versus the Rabbitohs. So given over the past years, a couple of years form, you'd generally assume that the Panthers would take this one, but I think they're struggling a lot, having lost Api Korothau and Viliami Kikau. 2 huge outs for them. I think the fluidity out of dummy half is definitely not there. And Kikau, man, the guy's a game breaker, chasing down or putting pressure on kickers, drawing in defenders, creating space for the guys inside and out him. Definitely a different team without them, and I think that the Panthers are still sort of struggling to find a game plan to fill those 2 holes. Assuming Latrell does actually play and he stays fit, I'm leaning towards the Rabbitohs. I thought Lachlan Lewis had a really solid game last week, really starting to show that he's stepping up, taking control of the team, showing a lot of confidence, taking pressure off Cody Walker and giving him a bit of freedom to just go nuts. So assuming those things fall into play, I'm going to give the Rabbitohs a nudge by probably under 8. Next up on Friday night, first game, Eels versus Sharks. So 2 teams that showed, a lot of promise last year. Eels going all the way to the final, falling over at the final hurdle, but they've lost a couple of key players, and Papali'i particularly. That said, Sharks, no Graham and no Nico Hines, big outs for them as well. The Sharks, I'm sort of a bit torn as to whether they really are a genuine force this year or whether last year was a bit of a enigma for them. A lot of good signs there, but no Nico Hines for 8 weeks could put them on a back foot that they may not be able to come back from even once they get him back. So pretty even matchup for me. I'm going to lean towards Parramatta. I thought they showed a lot of good signs in their loss last week. I'd say probably by under 10 points. Should be a fun, expansive and physical game. Could go either way, but we're going on the Eels for this one. Second game on Friday night, Queensland Derby, Broncos versus the Cowboys. Well, it's been another bit of a tough one here. A lot of people might wonder, similar to what I said with the Sharks, are the Cowboys the real deal, or was last year just a bit of a fluke? For me, I don't think they were, or they are. I think it's definitely a new culture that we've seen instilled there. A really good balance of experience, hard-nosed forwards, and some real genuine X-factor, both in the forwards and the backs, actually. I'm a massive fan of Todd Payten. I was pretty gutted when he left the Warriors, so, I like what he's instilled there. Playing with what I believe, as a fan, you look for in your team, and that is hard and effort throughout the 80 minutes of the game. Broncos are a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde team. We saw them sitting there in the top 4 coming into the back half of last season, then just falling over. I think there's sort of similar signs there this year, a bit of instability with players bad-mouthing the coach, some really odd comments at times. I think we've got a more solid overall team up there in the Cowboys, so I'm going to give it to them, but I could easily see the Broncos going nuts and actually pulling it off as well, but I'm going to go Cowboys by 8. And it comes to Saturday, the big one, Warriors, Roosters. Roosters coming off the back of a spanking at the hands of the Dolphins last week. The Warriors having a bit of a scrappy but heart-filled win over the Knights. Heart wants me to say the Warriors. Reality, it could be the Roosters. But if we can replicate what we did last week, which is getting up in the face, putting pressure on the attacking players, like we did it against the Knights, held our line pretty well, and can replicate, that real intensity that the Dolphins showed, and put pressure on those guys for the Roosters, who knows? Remains to be seen for me whether Joey Manu Brandon Smith and Victor Radley play. Personally, if I was them, I wouldn't be risking Joey Manu if he's still any signs of that facial fracture. Long season ahead, we know that they generally peak towards the back half of the season, so why would you risk one of the top 2 or 3 players in the comp? Likewise with Brandon Smith, if he's got broken ribs or ridge cartilage injury thanks to Kafusi, I don't know if I'd risk him. Hard as nuts, but yeah, a couple of good shots up under the ribs could have him on the back foot, and he was already struggling a bit for fitness there up in the heat last weekend. So, and Victor Radley, concussions, mate, serial concussions victim there. I definitely wouldn't be risking him. So, if those 3 guys happen to be out, I think the Warriors are a very good chance if all 3 play. The head's telling me probably 10-point win to the Roosters, but I just hope the Warriors can back up their performance and play for 80 minutes and stay competitive. Next up, the Dolphins and the Raiders. Again, Hart would love to see the Finns go back-to-back. They showed a lot of good signs that they could do it, but the Raiders, pretty hard-nosed pack. Tricky Ricky won't be easily fooled after seeing what they produced last week, so I think it'll be a lot more even. I think they'll be ready for a confrontation, and they've got some pretty big forwards at the Raiders here are just as capable of putting on the hits. You know what? Even though I've picked the Raiders in my initial picks there in NRL tipping, I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go to Finns, and I'm going to go by 4. Might have to go and adjust that one. I'm going to be all over the Finns as my second team this year. So go the Dolphins and go Big Wayne. I'm a fan of the grumpy old man. Storm against the Bulldogs. Storm are a little bit up and down. They've had some serious losses, but again, when you've still got Harry Grant and Nelson and Jerome Hughes in your starting lineup there, you still think they're going to be a good chance. Bulldogs, can you buy a team of individuals or, a bunch of individuals and turn them into a team? I don't know, mate. There's some pretty unique personalities there, and, I'm not convinced they'll get it all together straight away, so I'm going to lean towards the Storm here. Probably quite comfortably in the end, let's say by 12 plus. Tigers Knights, another tricky one to pick here. Neither team played to their best last weekend. Both teams struggling to find themselves. Dysfunctional cultures over the past couple of years. Trying to build a, turn around, build new teams, build some success. 50-50 game for me, but I liked a lot what I saw from the Knights, and assuming Ponga plays and is fully fit, I think he'll be pretty pissed having been taken off at a key point against the Warriors where he could have actually won the game for them last week. I reckon they'll sneak home. Tigers, still some great signings there, but I feel like they're missing a few key items. I've heard there's a bit of a instability there or disagreement between Benji and Sheen. So yeah, lean towards the Knights there and a close fought win, maybe 4-6. Dragons against the Titans. Who knows what you're going to get from the Dragons, having not seen them play last week. Titans should be buoyed on the back for signing Fafita. I'd love to see him step up and play an 80-minute game and actually show what he's really worth and justify his $1 million salary. People say he's never going to be that guy. He's just going to be that X-Factor one who pulls out the odd try. But for me, harden up, mate. You're a full-time professional. You can be a wrecking ball. It's not that hard to actually put in the effort. If he played with half the heart that Tino shows for the same amount of time on the field, mate, he'd probably be one of the top 2 or 3 players in the comp. But a little bit lazy for me, but I'm hoping he's going to step up on the back of his re-signing. Dragons for the spoon for me this year, but they'll probably come out and spank the Titans by 30 and make me look like an egg, as we saw from a few teams last week. But yeah, hard to pick some of these games, but you can but give it a try. All I'm looking for is some nice, expansive footy that's not impacted by too many of the bunker doctor calls. But hey, personally, I'm a fan of that. I think these players, you know, they need someone to protect them from themselves. They're always going to want to lie to stay on the field and maintain their position. You know, the coaches want to win. We saw, you know, Cleary play his son after he'd been knocked out in a grand final. If you're playing your own son, mate, what are a lot of other coaches going to do with their players when at the end of the day they're all judged on results? So while I hope the concussions don't play an impact, I'm happy for them to continue to do that. Yeah, expansive, fast footy. Can't beat the NRL, mate. Up the mighty Warriors in 2023. Let's go.